Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside the Kingdom, the place where we dig into the stories behind your favorite comics. I'm Alex, and today we're heading out to the country, literally. Our spotlight is on Amber Waves, a warm, funny, and sometimes wistful strip by David Phipps, set on a farm where a boy named Gerald, his friend Owen, his parents, and a whole cast of farm animals remind us what childhood, nature, and family really look like. We'll explore its origins, how growing up in a rural America shapes its voice, what the animals add to the humor, and why the strip has lasted so long. Whether you're familiar with Amber Waves or not, or just looking for something heartfelt, this one's for you. So let's get started. Hi, Dave. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me. This is a treat.
Oh, it's a treat for us as well, man. We talked a little bit before the show. For those obviously that are not familiar, Amber Waves has long been part of King Features at this point, but part of our weekly service.
Yeah.
Actually, now newly part of Comics Kingdom and available digitally to everyone on Comics Kingdom nationwide, across the globe, etc. Um, but it's been a nice journey to have you here. Long overdue conversation. And
Yeah.
how you doing these days?
Good. It's different. I've switched over to colorizing my own strips now, so I'm really ex- kind of expanding their countryside universe, making it more three-dimensional and adding layers to it.
I was I,
And
I was
all
gonna tell
ways.
Amy, that I saw a little difference in the
Yeah.
color.
Yeah.
Not better or worse, but it looks great. It looks great.
Thanks.
When was that switch?
Uh, it's been about a year ago.
Okay.
Not even a year ago, I was with King Features Weekly. I have 2 strips with them, the Amber Waves and Just Like Cats and Dogs, for 25, 26 years,
Yep.
and I reached out to Amy, and she said, "I agree, you need to be, with Comics Kingdom." I was like, "Okay." After trying for 35 years, different strips, many different submissions, like everybody, to different syndicates. So, yeah, it's really an honor to be with, the bigs.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the bigs, you have some bigs behind you there.
Yeah.
I see Hagar. We see Garfield. Any stories that you can share from those?
All of those I got just trying and trying and submitting and trying and submitting through the years. And they always say, don't meet your heroes. And that's true, except I've found when it comes to comic strip creators, they're all great. And nobody takes themselves too seriously. They're always welcoming. And there's more that I don't even have up from other guys, Berkeley Brethren, and these guys saying, "Hey, I like your stuff. Just keep going," and offering advice. And they're all great. So, um, probably with all of these, the only funny one was, um, well, Chris Brown of Hagar the Horrible. He's the one who got my foot in the door. He saw my strip. I can't even remember now where, and he suggested I reach out to the weekly service,
Hmm.
and he put me in touch, and they actually liked it. So I thank him for getting my foot in the door. Um, and he sent me that right after King Features Weekly picked me up. He just did that original for me.
Oh, that's
And the
so
other funny one was Charles Schultz had passed, but I worked for a company doing illustration. And in St. Paul, if you've ever driven around Minneapolis, St. Paul, they have these big 5-foot statues of Charlie Brown and Snoopy. And they're big statue sculptures of different things, like if it's a um, place that sells sporting good equipment. It might be Snoopy with all the sporting good equipment on him and
cool.
stuff like that. So I would have to draw these conceptual ideas out for the sculptors to build these big things. So Charles Schultz's grandkids and children wanted to tour this place of business that was creating these. So they came to St. Paul, and my boss said, "You do caricatures too, right?" Because I've done that for years in California and all over the place. I go, "Yeah." "Do you want to get on this luxury bus with his grandchildren and children for the day and do caricatures?" Yeah. So I had to get a lot of stories about dad and drawing and stuff. And so I told him I was, you know, trying to break in and stuff. So they gave me that strip, and all his kids and grandkids signed it for me.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
That was pretty cool. Oops.
That is really cool. You get
Yeah.
invited into a bus and you get to draw
Yeah.
the family all day. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. So
Um,
I gotta hear a lot of stories about Sparky. So
yeah,
who who started in St. Paul.
yeah,
So
there's so many, Schultz, was such an amazing talent, and obviously, and the work that he left us here is timeless. Peanuts is still going on to
yeah.
this day in
Yeah.
all sorts of capacities. Um Yeah, the stories I have multiple cartoonists, including yourself, that just everyone has a different story from
Yeah.
Charles, and it's just like and a good one. Yeah, they're not just run of the mill things, and that's great, man. This one I hear that was a great share.
Yeah.
That actually gets into a perfect segue into the origins of Amber Waves. One of the things that I wanted to ask, and really want the audience to know is kind of what inspired you to start Amber Waves, right? Because you're from Iowa now,
Right.
St. Paul. I guess was it more your childhood, your father, a combination of that?
A few different things, but mainly, I grew up in Iowa,
Mhm,
and once I graduated high school, I got out of Iowa and moved to Minnesota, then to Hollywood, and lived out there for a while and worked in a lot of movies and stuff because I was an acting and art major. So I
mhm,
got to do a lot of acting, and I thought, nah, I want to move back. So I live in Minneapolis, but I'd never milked a cow. I've never rode on a tractor. I've never done any of these things. But my high school was in a small town surrounded by farms. And one day I thought, I've tried what did the baby say today? Or, there's so many great strips out there, but they've already been done, typical family stuff. And I was thinking about it. My dad, whose name is Gerald, his dad passed away when he was 12. And so times were tough. He got a job working on a farm. But
mhm.
even before that, they had him live on a farm with relatives when he was 12. And there was no social media and cell phones and no PlayStation or any of that stuff. And he had a ball doing all these things. He'd tell me about his favorite cow he had, or building tree forts, or doing all these things. And it's kind of combination of a simpler time and finding the humor in that, and I kind of combine that. I'm a big fan of Norman Rockwell, trying to capture a moment in time of Americana
Mhm.
kind of things, and combine those with, sometimes it's the kid and the mom and dad dealing with typical family stuff, but sometimes it's the animals who only, it's kind of like Animal Farm, the novel, they only talk when the people aren't around, and they have their own opinions, which I'm sure they do. We just don't know it. So sometimes it's the pigs who are more like frat boys, they're dirty and I have a son who's in a frat, so I kind of watch him and ordering pizza and partying. And then the cows and the chickens are more passive and peaceful. And, so there's different, if I get bored of writing about one thing, I just switch next week. I feel like drawing the chickens or whatever. So
So
it was
since you
kind of that.
s since you didn't grow up on a farm yourself, what details do you try to capture in the strip now to make that authentic, that farm life authentic?
Well, I I write really weird, as far as I don't have an idea at all, like a gag. Like, here's a funny gag. I literally I feel like, I've drawn a cow in a field, so I'll draw that. Well, I think I feel like drawing this expression, and then the third box, maybe somebody swoops in and says this, and I still have no idea what I'm writing. I just draw everything out, and I'll have sometimes all 4 boxes drawn, and it's more about the scenery and does it look inviting indoors or outdoors in the expressions. Then what I do is I'll look at it and in my head think, well, maybe he's talking about the weather or something. Well, this is what I feel he would say. And this is and when I get to the fourth one, when I get the idea, my theory is I didn't know the punchline as I wrote it. So hopefully the reader has no idea either. Instead of a spoon fed gag,
Yeah.
I had no idea until I just wrote it. The whole thing's written out.
Well, that's actually really cool. So you're letting the art,
Yeah,
write for you, right? You're
exactly.
drawing
I
you're
kind of
drawing
go by that and go, it'd be funny, and then write that in when it's all done. So
it's
I
all
have sometimes strips that are drawn that will sit there for a couple weeks. Like, what would he say?
Now
So,
you're just giving me a digital idea, right? Because basically, we do well, not we, but effectively we've tried at times to just do caption contests, right? And just fill in the speech
uh,
bubbles. And that's essentially what you're kind of just doing
yeah,
an individual
yeah,
caption contest. I'd love to open it up. Maybe we'll do some episodes prior. We were talking about mailbags, and we make that a recurring thing. I'd love to do a mailbag with Amber Waves and just have people fill
yeah.
out captions and send that in because that'd be fun.
Yeah, stuff like that. I have friends all the time say, "You know, it'd be funny," and it's like, no, I'm sure all creators get that. I can't do it backwards then and try to lead it to the gag. It's for me, everybody writes differently.
Yeah,
Like Billy
absolutely.
Joel always says, he writes a melody, first, and some people write a subject first, and or the lyrics first, and that's just the way I just draw the pictures first.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned animals speaking, and they
Yeah.
do the chickens, the pigs, etc. I love the pigs. Um, when humans aren't listening, how do you decide what animal is going to speak up, or how do you give them a voice without overshadowing like the human story?
I guess I never quite thought about that. I look at it more like if it's the pigs,
Hmm.
their struggle to they don't realize that they're pigs and you know why do they have it so good, we're going to have it that good, let's go get tacos and pizza and beer and where they're just as good,
Yep.
you know and we're gonna not talking down to pigs or anything,
No,
just
we
they
haven't put any pigs
they
up.
they
Listening
they
to.
have a false sense of reality of
Yeah.
we're gonna be like this forever and party, where the cow is more like a Buddha to me when I see it,
Okay.
and so it's more, they are, like the cow isn't getting caught up in the day to day, where the pig is overanalyzing everything and trying to, keep up and one up the humans
Mm.
almost. And the chickens, kind of funny. The chickens, I got the idea from the Music Man. The pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, and the women talking like that. And my mom has some friends, and she has a group of women that get together, and they talk and chat about everything, and it just kind of got that idea, of talking about everything and chatting about everything. So
Shout out, mom. And
yeah,
the-
yeah, yeah, she'll appreciate that.
How I guess how's the strip evolved over time? The tone, visuals, maybe even some of the themes.
Uh, the visuals, especially in the last few months, getting asked to join Comics Kingdom, I thought, you know what? I really need to take advantage of scenery because
Yeah.
my strip has the advantage over most that I can, rolling countrysides
Hmm.
and beautiful scenery if you're out on a field or up in a tree and on the river, so I'm starting to push that more and more and more. That's
Hmm.
one way it's evolved. And trying to push the expressions. Some of my influences, like I always loved like Mother Goose and Grimm, or some of those over the top crazy expressions.
Hmm.
Some of those, or Bloom County, where you don't have to read the strip, or Calvin and Hobbes. There's some of those where you're like, it's just funny, their expression, and you're already laughing before you read what it is. I'm a big believer in visual first. That's
Yeah.
why I draw everything, and then I respond to the visuals. So that's something I'm pushing more and more.
What do you have any favorite strips or moments throughout that? Obviously, it's 25 years is a
Of
long time.
of mine,
Yeah.
probably the strip I'm most proud of. Sometimes comic strips are effective when they don't have to be super funny, but they have a good message. Um, and years and years and years ago, a good friend of ours passed away who was a farmer, um, Dick Glasson, who he passed away. And that's the farm my dad went to work on. And he was a father figure to my dad. And he passed away. So I thought long and hard about it. And the paper was actually running, the strip was running in my small hometown.
Hmm.
And I thought about it. I'm like, I got to do something. I can't make it funny, like, and I did a strip about the boy going to his, or the dad talking to his son about, hey, our neighbor passed away. Oh, I'm sorry, and something like that. And the and the kids saying, "Well, I guess God needed farming too. It's not as easy as it looks," or something.
Mhm.
And the last one says, "Amen to that," or something. Kind of making a lighthearted joke that it's hard to farm. Even God needs farmers. And his wife to this day has that one framed in her kitchen.
Ah,
This day, she was in tears. Every time I see her, she's still alive and,
wow.
and hitting 90 and still has it, still brings it up every time I see her. So it really
Wow.
can affect that probably that one. There's some that can if you do it right, you can really affect someone without a ha 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 moment.
Right.
So,
Well, that's touching. That's actually a really great story
yeah,
there, and the fact you were
yeah,
able to convey that message, I can only imagine what she feels, seeing something
yeah,
like
yeah,
um, that's another segue. So what sort of like, obviously this is contemporary, farm life, right? You're telling that
yeah.
story. What sort of challenges, come from telling that when so many readers are basically city based, and live a tech life, and you're talking about
Yeah.
countryside, animals, farm life.
Um, Going back to Norman Rockwell, my mom introduced me to his work,
Mhm.
and you'll see one of a World War II soldier painting, but you can feel like you just know the feeling in that room. Or one is of Thanksgiving in an older Victorian house, or a kid building a go-kart where somebody in New York has never built a go-kart maybe
Right.
because he had a way of inviting you into a moment, and just by what you're seeing, you can feel like you're there, and you don't need a background. You just wanna if you don't have the background, you wanna find out what it's like. I kinda try to draw from that, not get like the farmer's working on this kind of an engine on a, John Deere tractor, no, no, I bring it back the scope a little bit to we've all felt this kind of way, or like the kid not wanting to go the first day of school, or something. I try to make it a little more widely perceived, but in the farm life, kind of give it more of that Americana twist
Yeah.
where I'm not alienating everybody. We all have the same type of past experiences, yearning to belong, or jealousies, or this or that. Just kind of tap into those. Is I hope that's not too far off subject,
No,
but
no, no, I think that's exactly it. I mean, as a city dweller myself, I think you nailed it. Part of what's the draw, and I think I talked to you about how we share it on Instagram, etcetera, and we see that draw from it as well. I think it's exactly what you said. You paint this picture that isn't too, I don't need to know what the John Deere tractor is. I just see
yeah,
the Grand
yeah.
Am Golf, and it's a very, very approachable thing. And
And
yeah,
and nowadays too, with the climate, with the anger and everything, it's
right,
like I think people yearn for this. Down deep, we down deep, we all want to be friends and neighbors, and it's difficult. So I'm really leaning into this of a good time,
right.
not a good times, passive times that have passed that hopefully we can maintain, kind of thing. That's why I love the Norman Rockwell paintings and that kind of stuff.
Well, on that tangent, it moved to Comics Kingdom a year ago.
Mhm.
Um, and after its move, or since moving to Comics Kingdom, what's changed for you? Has its audience changed?
Yeah.
Deadlines,
No,
exposure, right?
well, it's still just for now 1 a week.
Yeah,
I'm more and more and more now that I'm coloring it. Before it was kind of spot colored,
right.
and, because I never even saw it really colored in the because they would do it. I was kinda grandfathered in. And then once I was asked to join, I'm like, "I gotta up my game. I'm gonna colorize this the way I wanna see it colorized to hopefully be in a book." So, I'm leaning more into, as I said, if I'm gonna show an open field, something else I'm kinda drawing from is the old Hanna-Barbera Bugs Bunny, um, no black outline kind of thing to kind of bring the character forward. I want to lean into the hues of the fields and the different colors of the sky. And that stuff I do know from growing in the Midwest without the light pollution, how the sky can be five different colors and
Mhm.
things like that. Or fall, you always have falling leaves in the fall and little things like that. So I'm adding that more and more into the colors and into the drawings and giving 'em more personality.
With that, I think this is a two-pronged question. So we're talking about farm life, and obviously you're bringing in Americana, you're bringing in all these aspects of landscapes, and the Midwest, and all your experiences there. Um, how do you balance that nostalgia or that feel for rural life with while acknowledging its harder aspects, right? Like isolation, obviously work, the weather, the things that
Right.
the city dwellers don't necessarily are familiar with or don't necessarily see in our day-to-day lives. Is it the animals? Like, is that your segue into that stuff, or how you offset that portion of it?
Yeah, I mean, some of those, like, I'm trying to think of an example. How Gerald drives him crazy a lot of the time being alone.
Yeah.
He's got a friend, Owen, who's kind of based on my brother. My brother growing up actually had short, blonde, very curly hair, and he followed
I'm
me around. My older brother would follow me around, and he was always very quiet. And if
I'm
you
getting the
notice,
sense that we need to call out the Phipps family here
yeah,
pretty strongly everywhere. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and and Owen, if you've noticed, in 25, 26 years, has never said a word.
Mhm.
In one strip, I had him say something because I had to, but other than that, it's very Penn and Teller. He just doesn't talk at all. Um, I'm kind of getting away from your question, but
No, no, no.
it's
This
it's
this is
it's
this is
going
actually
back
answering some
to,
of it.
yeah, if it's uh, Gerald longing to, I'm bored, I'm on the farm, I want to do something. Growing up in Manhattan, I'm bored, I want to do something. Every kid gets bored. It's
Mhm.
just his reason is different than yours, but it doesn't mean you aren't both bored.
Great
So how he comes up with something. And other times I want to get a little more goofy and be like, I want to do the pigs throwing a luau, or and I kind of am inspired by like Bloom County. I kind of borrow from all these guys. I loved his zaniness of stuff, or like I said, Mother Goose and Grimm. I love their expressions of stuff, and the trick is to make it all your own.
Mhm.
You know, so there I'd be like, I want the pigs to be doing something crazy, or I feel like drawing the fish today. And, most people have gone fishing. Most of this stuff, most people have done or have an uncle or a grandpa or it reminds them of somebody that's so my dad or that's so my uncle or that kind of stuff, where it wouldn't be as funny a lot of the times I have some with the dad fishing, but some it's funnier to get what is the perspective of the fish? Reverse it. You don't ever see
Right.
that as much, or I have some uh, what's the perspective of the kid is mailing a Christmas list to Santa? What's the perspective of the mailbox that he's putting it in? I have some older ones that have a cloud of the mailbox thinking
Yeah.
or whatever. So I can go more ways if I get bored of drawing one thing, and I think they all kind of are universal on in the end. Or they're not funny if they're not. The worst thing you can do is write an inside joke. So it's got to be something that you can, just like a stand-up comedian, you can take what he's saying and, oh yeah, like nudge your wife for your buddy, or yeah, that's so you.
Right.
Same kind of thing.
There's always a little truth in comedy, right? That makes it,
Exactly.
and all
That's
that.
a good way to put it. You put there's some truth in it. That's all of us.
Are there storylines or characters that you wanna explore more in the future?
I think the isolation, I kind of keep it to those animals and that
Yeah.
family. Um, once in a while, I will bring in a character who's like visiting.
Yeah.
Like years ago, I've been doing this so many years that people don't realize I've got a nice backlog. But the mom, who's very generally taken from my mom as far as the style, um, she'll have. Although my mom is an only child, but she'll have a brother who's a big city guy coming into the farm who's you know, doesn't understand anything. He was wearing like Gucci shoes and he's working in the field kind of thing. Once in a while, I'll do that. But I think the charm is the isolation.
Yeah.
of them out there and might as well be on Mars. And what I can come up with without people bursting into their bubble kind of thing.
I don't think did we ever now that I think about it, do we ever identify where the farm is?
No, no.
That's
It's like Springfield. You know, it's even though I'm from Iowa, it's anywhere in the Midwest.
yeah, yeah.
So
Are there any ideas that you're excited that you haven't tried yet that you're excited to maybe bring into it in the future that you yeah, you can tease us with here?
um, I'm working on one right now that I'm having a lot of fun with. There are a couple. I showed my wife because she really likes how I'm colorizing them, and each one's getting more and more like, wow, that's visually, crazy. So I just finished one and I'm starting another one that I thought, I've done the cornfields and the barns and the houses and the beautiful sunsets. I've never, but when you're out on the farm at night, so I just finished one where it's night with the amazing sky and the moon and the stars and all that kind of stuff. And I'm working on a Halloween one that's also at night to just visually make it different instead of seeing the same sunny sky and the clouds every day. And, I do some that are raining and stuff like that. But so I'm having a lot of fun with the graphics of colorizing and pushing that more.
So, I'll throw my hat in the ring and say I
Right.
love that idea. One, because I think I've seen it depicted in, I think Hagar specifically. They've done their nighttime scenes that I've really, really been excited by. But being
Yeah.
a city guy myself, it's one of these things that, I hate to admit, whenever you leave the city and you get to go to the Midwest or
Yeah.
you travel abroad or anywhere that isn't the big city, the first thing that I take notice of is the fact that I can see the stars.
Yeah.
Because we don't get to see the stars here as much. We have skyscrapers everywhere and everything. So, yeah, it's something that I think we lack, and maybe our as our viewers here hopefully aren't in the same situation. Hopefully they take for granted what you're gonna put in there. But yeah, I love that idea. That actually
Yeah.
I'm
It's,
picturing it in my mind, and I'm getting excited
I'll,
for
I'll, I'll give you a hint. That one is just Gerald out there with his buddies looking for spacecraft. So, stuff like that.
and
Stuff like
timely,
that.
and timely. If you
Yeah.
stay on Twitter for too long, you're down the
Yeah.
UFO circles too, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So there's so many ways to go, you know, in drawing it there because you've got
yeah,
trees and fields and everything, the family, and then I get bored and go to the pigs. And even though they're in a bubble, it's such a fun bubble to play in
yeah.
that no, it's just more exploring the characters, and
Given that Gerald's on a farm and we have animals and so forth, um, forgive me if you've already done this and I haven't seen it. Do you think you'll bring in like social media and the stuff that's going on here, the funny effects of
like
like
current events
not
or
events, I think the fact that it's detached from what's happening in the world is what's awesome about it. But like I guess the reality of like kids on their phones, like running into a
yeah,
or something like that because he's
yeah,
not paying attention.
it takes place in current time.
Right.
And I've done a couple where um Jared, like his dad will be walking with Gerald in the woods and Gerald will be on a cell phone.
Yeah.
Not a lot of those, but or Gerald will be the one gag I did use because it was so funny was and I had to use it was when my son was young. I'm not a big video gamer guy. I'm too
Right.
busy with so many other things. But he did a first person shooter game. And so I thought I'd sit with him and, first person, I'm shooting at the sky. I couldn't figure out where it was going. And and
Did you
he's
try
sitting
to play
next to
it
me.
at all?
I tried to play next to him and I'm shooting him and accidentally. And I go, Ben, I'm, I'm no good at this. I must be a pacifist. I said, you know what a pacifist is? And he's like playing, he goes, I don't know, somebody who sucks at video games. And I thought that is so funny. I did put that in a strip. I had to. The gag was so funny.
That is good. That
And I
is
don't
good.
think I'd played a video game since.
I think I'm gonna
So
try that with my own son, because
yeah.
his game is Fortnite, right? And same thing. Like I've tried to sit down with him and I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do
And
it.
he's given me tips. Now my kids are older now, and my oldest actually graduated with a degree in computer animation.
Mhm.
And so he kind of followed in dad's footsteps. same but totally different.
Yeah.
I'm so envious because there was no computer animation when I was in high school or going into college. So
He must
I
be doing some
would have.
amazing things with that stuff, right?
Oh
The
yeah,
things they
it's
put to pull off
amazing.
these days.
Yeah, it's amazing the stuff that he's done in college. Now, hopefully, he can do it as a career.
Yeah.
Um, but I told him, you make it big, and maybe we can make Amber Waves. That's a dream of mine to animate it, kind of like Bloom County did that Christmas one for Opus. I
Oh,
thought,
yeah.
oh, how beautiful would that be? Like a Christmas Amber Waves with the lights and the snow, and that's the other fun thing I like doing on the farm is the snow and the ice and the weather is a big part of it. And I thought, oh, that'd be so fun to animate an Amber Waves holiday or something. My mom's always wanted that to do it. Charlie Brown Christmas, she says, do
Yeah,
one
that
day,
is cool. That would
baby
be
step.
cool, to do, and challenging
Yeah.
given this one of the I think I'm so happy that obviously Amber Waves is on Comics Kingdom, and obviously we're doing this on this host. I'm hosting this on behalf of Comics Kingdom. Is that we have this place like a Comics Kingdom, and obviously there are other sites that do similar things. But we have these places where you can all centrally come to a place and see things collectively at the same
Mhm.
time. Because so little of that is happening in the real world anymore, right? Like you don't have the must watch Sunday show or like those moments, those water cooler moments that come. They're very
Yeah.
few and far between. I guess live sports is the only place we still have that now. Or you're disconnected from everything and that's happening in the real world. And that's the part of the I guess
Yeah.
that we're not able to see right now. And we're seeing in Amber Waves, right? Um, I don't even know where I was going on that tangent there, but it's just fun. It's just fun to envision that a Christmas story, a Christmas
Yeah. A good friend of mine,
thoughtful Christmas story.
when I was working at that company sculpting I drew them and these sculptors would build the huge Charlie Browns and it kept me inspired was I gave him drawings of Gerald and the pigs and stuff. Those up there, I still have them. He sculpted them all for me. To see them all 3-dimensional up there was pretty cool.
Have you tried your hand at 3D printing and all that, and
No,
just
not yet.
experiment with it?
No,
Yeah, because 'cause it'd be cool to
no.
see what we can pull off there, but yeah, we'll wax along on that stuff.
And
So,
speaking of,
right.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
speaking of my son and all my kids, but um, when when I talk to someone who is an illustrator or doing, it could be a professional athlete, but from what I'm doing, and people say, "Oh, you're so lucky! You're so lucky you can do that." And I'm a lot of guys who do this for a living. It's a lot of luck. Yes, you got to have the right theme at the right time with the right talent.
mhm.
But the one thing I told my kids, like my youngest daughter is going into modeling and wants to do that. And I said, a lot of rejection, a lot of rejection. So from my very first, I got this out when I found out you're going to interview me. That's my rejection letters. From the
Wow.
very first submission to, I don't know how many different submissions I sent to how many different syndicates. I kept every single one of them as inspiration. I show my kids this, but there's, I don't know
Wow.
how many in there, but that's a lot. So
That's a great lesson to pass on to your
yeah,
children,
yeah,
and that is really
it's,
good. That
it's
perseverance
work.
is a skill. That is a
Yeah.
skill.
You have to use that as inspiration to keep going instead of to get you to stop.
Yeah.
So I've always kept that. I don't know why. I just knew I needed to keep these. And I read through them now and it's makes it that much better to read these rejection letters. So
Well, thank God for your intuition there. We're all benefiters from
yeah,
that. So I'm glad that you continued on and had that perseverance.
yeah,
That's just that's a
it's all
really
I, yeah,
inspirational and wonderful lesson to give your children, and impart us on us here as we
yeah,
watch this and talk through it collectively. That's continuing through was 100% it. Yeah.
yeah. It's just keep going. I mean, whatever, if you're a golfer and you want to be a pro golfer or whatever, it's just you feel the need to keep going. This is what I meant to do. I love doing this. Even if no one's going to pay me, I love doing it.
maybe I'll
Whatever.
give maybe I'll give Fortnite and my son another try, and I'll give
Be a
that another go.
professional Fortnite player. Yeah.
Right. I was like switch careers. Well, before we part here, what do you want audiences to take away from Amber Waves?
Hmm. Uh, I just hope I keep attempting to tap into that place in everybody that we all have common traits. We're very divided in many things nowadays, but we all at our core are the same. The same basic things will make us go, "Aw," or "That's cute," or "That's funny." And
Good
I
point.
try to keep it in that realm of, hey, we are all the same on certain levels, and we can, we all need to take a laugh, take a step back, relax, let's have a laugh. Life, and that's my dad's big saying. He's always said is life is good. Way before that got um, merchandised, life is good. He would say that, and he still says life is good, and that's kind of the theme is no matter how bad it gets at times, life is good, and just treat each other good and have fun and have a little laugh, and get through your day kind of thing.
That was a smart man, and so are you, Dave. That's actually,
Thank you.
I'm glad that we have Amber Waves to continue that sort of message and really that respite from exactly what you said. Like we're in trying times across the board,
Yeah.
but whenever you can find a little sliver of that connection there, I think that's really important. And
Yeah.
again, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
With that said, obviously, thanks for coming along with us here today on the field. I hope you've I hope you've enjoyed this look at Ember Waves. Special thanks, obviously, to Dave Phipps, for sharing your stories, bringing more insight into this world of Amber Waves. If you like what you've heard today, please subscribe, leave us a review, or share the episode with someone who enjoys comics as well. It's how we make sure that we continue this going, and of course, have fans celebrate the stuff that we're creating here. And of course, if you scroll through Comics Kingdom or your local newspaper, or on the web, your local newspaper's website, check out Amber Waves. It's a strip that reminds us of something simple but powerful. We'll see you next time, and we hope you explore the kingdom.
Thanks.